What if cold Naruto was Bleach skills after Naruto and Kyuubi together? Shinobi of Konoha movie. It has been a normal day in Konoha. The sky was blue. A few clouds flew by, a handful of leaves were dancing with the gentle breeze, the civilians were working, the kids were playing in parks. The shinobi of the village were either going out for missions or were coming back from missions. The gate guards were sitting, bored like always. Nothing special happened today. Many civilians and shinobi left or entered the village and there was nothing suspicious. The last person who crossed the gates was a genin team which went on a C-ranked mission. The two guards talked with each other about various topics, and only paying attention to those who entered the village when they seemed suspicious or were trying to enter with things they wanted to sell. As the two talked, they saw a figure approach the gates. They couldn't say too much about the person, but from what they saw it was a male who looked no older than 12 years old. As the boy neared the gates, one of them came out of their booth and waited for the boy to come closer. Soon the two could see that the boy had long, sleek black hair, which was down to his eyes. His eyes were of the color of dark gray. His face betrayed no emotions and his eyes were emotionless. On each of his cheeks were 3 whiskers like scars. He wore a black kimono with sleeves that were long enough to hide his hands. The kimono was tied by a white obi sash. When he lifted his hand, you could see that he wore a fingerless white teko which only covered the back of his hands. Over his kimono, he wore a white, sleeveless haori, an. Captain Haori from Bleach. He also wore black shinobi sandals and there was a katana strapped on his left hip. The sheath of the katana was snow white and the tip was golden. The handle of katana was pure white and the wrapping was light pink. The guard is a simple cross guard, with an open frame much like a 4-pane window. As the boy was standing in front of the guard, both of them could feel that the air around the boy was that one of a noble and a person who is superior to you. Halt! State your name and why are you coming to the village, ordered one of the 2 guards. The boy looked at him with a bored expression. Kuchiki Naruto, Naruto said, making the 2 guards' eyes to widen in shock, not believing that the lost Kuchiki prodigy finally came back to the village after 6 years. The guard quickly bowed and walked out of Naruto's way. Ah! Kuchiki-sama. Welcome back to the village. The guard answered quickly and ran back to the booth. Naruto didn't beat them a look as he walked towards his destination. The 2 guards looked at each other before one of them sighed in relief. Damn, to think that the 2 of us would be the one to see the Kuchiki boy come back. I think we should go notify the Hokage, one said and the other nodded. Alright, I will go, said the second one. Amino Iruka was standing in front of his class. Today was the day he would tell them that someone new will be joining their class. He knew that many people would be annoyed or even angry since all of his students have spent years in the academy and here suddenly comes a new person and is allowed to graduate with them, even if the person was coming from a noble and powerful clan. Iruka stood up and walked over to the middle of the class. All right, everyone, settle down. I have something important to tell you, the Chunin said, making the whole class stop speaking and listen to him. As I said, this is very important, so listen carefully. There will be someone who will be joining your class for the genin exams tomorrow and he is said to come today to introduce himself. Of course, after Iruka said this, most of the class started talking how unfair it was that someone could simply join their class without any school. Who is this guy? Asked a random student. After hearing the question, the whole class quieted once again, wanting to know who it was. He is a boy your age, who is coming from a clan that is said to be as strong as both Senju and Uchiha. There were some whispers and scoff from an emo boy, but Iruka ignored it. The clan does not come from Konoha, so there is a very good chance that no one has met him or heard about his clan. So what are his and his clan's name? Asked Inuzuka Kiba, but before their sensei could answer, there was a knock on the door. Iruka looked at his watch and smiled slightly. It must be him, he said and walked to the door and opened them, revealing Naruto standing there, his hand hanging loosely at his sides, covered by the sleeves. Naruto looked at Iruka with a bored expression. Amino Iruka? He asked, making Iruka nod and bow slightly, confusing the class, seeing that he never bowed to any of them. Kuchiki-sama, good to see you come back, please enter and sit down, the Chunin said, making Naruto nod and enter the class while ignoring the looks of curiosity, the looks of jealousy from the clan heirs and blushes from many of the girls. He took a place in the back of the class. Excuse me, Iruka-sensei, but why are you referring to Naruto-san with Sama? Asked a pink-haired girl, making Naruto look at Iruka with a raised eyebrow. I see, you have yet to tell them about me. I shall introduce myself then. Naruto said as the class turned to look at his impassive face. My name is Kuchiki Naruto, the last of the Kuchiki family and the 16th head of the family. My family is coming from Uzushiogakure but was attacked by the three armies of Kumogakure, Iwagakure, and Kirigakure. It was 18,000 shinobi from Genin to Anbu who attacked our family, which was merely 630 persons. It took the army 7 days and 7 nights to destroy my clan, but they lost over 9,000 shinobi, he said, making all of the class to look at him with wide eyes. My mother, Kuchiki Kashina, who was 12 at the time, was the only survivor of the battle. She came to Konoha and met Namikaze Minato, who later became my father. My father died when I was born and my mother died when I was 8 years old. It was the moment I went on a 4-year training trip around the elemental nations, Naruto said and sat down. HMPH. So your call isn't as powerful as you said since they all died out, stated Sasuke with an arrogant smirk, making Naruto give him a cold smirk. As I said, it took 18,000 shinobi and 7 days and 7 nights to destroy my clan, but from what I remember all it took was 1 Uchiha and only 1 night to kill every of your clan, the silver-haired boy said, making Sasuke clenched his fist until the knuckles were white, while he had only fury in his eyes. Sasuke stood up and rushed at Naruto. I am gonna kill you, roared the Uchiha as he neared Naruto and threw a straight punch at Naruto's face, but before he could hit him, the Kuchiki vanished and appeared behind him. They stood back to back. Too slow, Naruto said with an impassive face. Everyone looked at him in shock and all of them had one thought. Fast. Sasuke turned around and tried to hit him once more, but this time Iruka caught his wrist and stopped from attacking Naruto, who looked at the Uchiha with an superior glare. Uchiha Sasuke, you will stop this at once. If you want to fight Kuchiki-sama you will have to wait until tomorrow's graduation exams. Iruka ordered, and after a while, Sasuke calmed down and sat on his place. The rest of the day was like the others. Iruka would give boring lectures and the class would pretend to listen to him. After the classes ended and Naruto was about to leave the school, a group of a girl walked over to him. He looked at them with a raised eyebrow, his face showing that he didn't want to talk to them. Kei Kuchiki-kun, would you like to go out with us to eat something? Asked one of the girls, making Naruto's eyes to narrow slightly. I don't remember allowing you to use this honorific with me, Naruto said, making the girl's eyes widen as she spoke a quick sorry, Kuchiki-sama. Besides, no, I don't want to go out and eat with you. I have better things to do, he said and vanished, using shunpo. The girls squealed, talking how cool and hot he is. As Naruto walked through the streets of the village, he entered the clan district. After another 3 minutes of walking, he stopped in front of a large gate. The gate was made from pure white, polished stones. As he neared it, he used the special type of chakra that his clan has been known from. The form of chakra was called Reizu or spiritual pressure. It has been told to be at least 3 times stronger than regular chakra. When the gate opened and he entered, he was standing on a path which was splitting the garden. On both sides of the garden were sakura trees which decorated the otherwise empty garden. As he walked the path through the garden, he stopped in front of a large building which was also made of pure white, polished stones. The house was massive. At least 100 people would be able to live there comfortably. Once again he used a bit of his Reizu and the door opened before him, allowing him to enter his clan's house. When he entered, he was standing in front of a large living room. Ignoring it, he walked further into the house until he was on stairs which led to the next level. As he entered the level, he walked into his room, which was a massive room, with the walls being colored sky blue. He laid himself on the large bed for at least 3 people and without another word went to sleep. Seeing how he hadn't slept in 3 days since he forgot that he had to come back to Konoha and had to sprint the whole way from another side of the fire country. When Naruto woke up the next morning, he took a bath and then dressed. Seeing how he had nothing to eat because he didn't buy anything, he created a shadow clone who went to buy something to eat, while the real went outside to the second garden which was behind the house. When he walked out, he was standing in front of a large field filled with healthy green grass which was cut down. There were some sakura trees here as well, and in the middle of the garden was a small lake, in the middle of which was a small spot for meditation. There were some fishes in the lake. Seeing that he had nothing else to do, he sat in the middle of the lake and meditated until his clone came back with food, which he ate and then went to the academy. When Naruto arrived in the academy class, he took the same place as yesterday and waited. Soon the class slowly started to fill up, and not 20 minutes after Naruto came the class was completed. Iruka entered the class with a guy who was carrying a stack of papers. Good morning, class. I think everyone knows why we are here, so let's start it. We have 3 parts of the exams. The first is a written test, the second is shuriken and kunai throwing. The last part is the ninjutsu part, in which you will have to show us the 3 jutsu you learned here, and if you want any additional points you can show a jutsu from the outside academy. Let's get this started, Iruka said and started to hand out the test. As Naruto got his test, he quickly scanned the questions and without any question started to answer all of them. Seeing how he learned such things when he was 8 years old, it took him merely 10 minutes to finish the exam, and seeing how still had 50 minutes to spare, he sat straight, crossed his hands over his chest and closed his eyes. 1 hour later, Iruka stood up with Mizuki. "All right class, the time is up," said the scarred Chunin, and the 2 of them started to collect the tests. 3 minutes later they have collected all of them and were leading the class outside. Now time for the second part of the exams. Each of you will get 5 shuriken and 5 kunai and will have to get the highest score. Let's start. The first one will be. With this Iruka started to read out students, but Naruto didn't pay any attention. After a while, he heard someone talk to him. HMPH. Now watch and learn, loser. I will show you how an elite does this. Sasuke said arrogantly as he walked forward and prepared to throw. He hit with each weapon, getting the perfect score of 10 on 10. Beat this, loser, he said. Kuchiki Naruto, you are next, said Mizuki. Naruto nodded and took a position where Sasuke was standing. Naruto placed all 5 shuriken on his left hand, where he had every shuriken between his fingers, but between his middle and index finger, he held 2. With a single move of his wrist, he hit every mark, then he turned around, and then suddenly he threw the 5 kunai which were in his right hand behind him. What shocked everyone was that every kunai hit exactly at the same time and all hit the perfect middle. Without another word, Naruto walked back to where he previously was standing. A few moments later Iruka continued with the exams. There were some civilian students who tried to do the same as Naruto, thinking that they could outclass him, but they always failed. Good, now with the second part of the exams finished we can go on with the last part. Once again Iruka started to read out some students, but like last time Naruto simply closed his eyes and waited. 3 minutes later Sasuke was chosen, and after he performed the 3 needed jutsu he decided to show jutsu he learned outside the academy. You may have won earlier by luck, by now you will fall before the power of Uchiha. Sasuke shouted as Naruto opened his eyes. The Uchiha went through a sequence of hand seals and then took a deep breath. Kaden. Great fireball jutsu. He shouted as he exhaled a large orb of fire which annihilated one of the training dummies. Beat that, the Uchiha challenged. Kuchiki Naruto, please, Iruka said. Naruto took a few steps forward and then looked at Sasuke and asked a question. What good will give you a jutsu like this one when it is too slow to hit someone? A jutsu should be fast enough to hit your opponent, like this, he said and pointed his left index finger at one of the dummies. Hado number 4. Byakurai, he said, and suddenly white lighting shot out of his finger. The lighting flew at such speed that most of the genin weren't able to follow it. The attack pierced right through the place that the heart should be. That is how you do it, he said, and made the 3 needed jutsu from the academy. A few minutes later all of the students who passed were sitting in the class while those who failed went back home. First I want to congratulate all of you for graduating. Now, like every year we will are giving 2 titles to the 2 best of you, the Rookie of the Year and the Kunoichi of the Year. There were whispers about who would become one of these, but all were silenced when Iruka took out a forehead protector on a black cloth while all the others were on blue ones. First, the Kunoichi of the Year is Haruno Sakura, the pink-haired girl started to screech about how better she is from everyone and how much her Sasuke-kun will want to go out with her. After another minute she calmed down and Iruka took out a second forehead protector with the cloth being once again black. And the Rookie of the Year is. Before he could end, Sasuke stood up and walked over to confused Iruka. You can give it to me now, Sasuke said. But Iruka shook his head, confusing the Uchiha. Sasuke, you are not the rookie. The Rookie of the Year is Kuchiki Naruto, Iruka said, making a few Naruto fangirls to yell his name, while he himself walked over and took it. What? How is that possible? I am an Uchiha. I am an elite. The Uchiha shouted, but as he saw that one paid him mind, he turned to Naruto and grabbed his shoulder. Fight me, loser, he shouted. Naruto looked over his shoulder, his gray eyes looking at Sasuke with annoyance. You are not worth my time, Naruto said, making some boys chuckle while 2 certain girls started to shout at Naruto. Sasuke looked at the Kuchiki with fury until he smirked arrogantly. HMPH, yeah, right, You probably don't want to fight since you are so useless as you second-rate clan. Sasuke roared, making Mizuki and Iruka's eyes to widen since they exactly knew how prideful the Kuchikis were. At this moment Naruto stopped walking and turned around, making Sasuke's smirk to widen. You will regret that, Naruto said before he appeared in front of Sasuke, his fist buried in the Uchiha's gut, who doubled over. Without another word, Naruto suddenly unsheathed his katana and was about to swing it diagonally but was stopped when both Mizuki and Iruka blocked the swing with kunais in their hands. But even the two of them had a problem to stop the blade and very slightly pushed back. Naruto looked at them with cold eyes and sheathed his katana. He walked over to his place and sat down. Sakura, who was by Sasuke's side, trying to help him, looked at Naruto and asked with fearful eyes. Would you really cut Sasuke-kun if Iruka-sensei and Mizuki-sensei wouldn't stop you? She asked, and suddenly all eyes were on Naruto, who looked at Sakura with cold eyes. If it is for the sake of my or my clan's pride, there is nothing I want destroy, he said in a voice which made all of them shiver. At this moment everyone in the class noted one thing to themselves. Never insult Naruto's or Kuchiki's pride or you are going down. Alright, class, come back tomorrow at the same time to get to know your genin teams and your Jonin sensei, Iruka said, and then he and Mizuki left the room, soon followed by the rest of the class. Sasuke, who left behind and was now alone in the class, looked at the place Naruto seated with hate in his eyes. First Itachi, now him. I will destroy you both, no matter the price. I will get the power to kill both of you. He though with a dark and insane smirk. The day passed quickly and soon on the next morning all genin who passed the genin exam were sitting in their old classroom. They all waited for Iruka to come in and tell them about their assigned teams, in which they will stay until they reach the rank of Chunin. When Iruka entered the class, the room went quiet in an instant, each of them wanting to know on what team they would be. After a short congratulations speech, Iruka started to read out the team assignment. Team 7 will be Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura, and Sai. Team 8 will be Hyuga Hinata, Inuzuka Kiba, and Aburame Shino. Team 9 is still active. Team 10 will be Nara Shikamaru, Yamanaka Ino and Akamichi Choji. Kuchiki-sama, Hokage-sama has decided that you are more than ready to be placed on a one-man team until another genin will be able to join your team. Now, wait and get to know your teammates more until you sensei comes and takes you away. With this, Iruka left the room, which soon erupted into whispers. All of them were about the same thing. The matter of Naruto being alone on a team. Some were curious how strong he really was. Girls were starting to form fan club which gained new members very quickly. One person, in particular, was sheeting in anger. I should be the one on a one-man team, not this loser. I am an Uchiha. An elite. How dare he act like he is superior to me? Thought the last Uchiha as he clenched his fists. I wonder if Kuchiki-sama will go out with me, said a random civilian girl with a dreamy sigh. As she looked around the class, she saw that Naruto had vanished and she couldn't find him anywhere. Naruto appeared in the middle of the Hokage office, his face blank as ever. He looked at the leader of the village and gave a slight bow, showing that even though he was prideful, he was able to show respect to his superiors. What can I do for you today, Kuchiki-san? Asked the Sandaime Hokage with a smile. I have been informed that I am part of a genin team without either a sensei or teammates. I wanted to ask if it was a mistake or if not, answered Naruto, making Sandaime nod. Indeed, you are placed on a one-man team. The reason why is because I know that you are already at least Chunin level, so you don't need any teammates to help you. Besides that, there were simply no genin left. The reason why you have no sensei should be quite clear. No one in Konoha can teach you about Kido nor Shunpo, and I think that it would be best to just let you train yourself, Sarutobi said, and Naruto nodded, knowing that everything the old man said was true. As to missions, you will be allowed to take D-ranked and low C-ranked missions yourself. Besides that, you will be sometimes joining some other genin teams to provide assistance if something would go wrong, Hiruzen stated. After that Naruto excused himself and left the office to train. Through the next 2 months, Naruto had been doing various C-ranked missions, seeing how D-ranked missions were beneath him. He also had been sent to help out some Chunin a few times, and from then on, the gossips about Naruto were running wildly through Konoha. After this day, Naruto learned why he hated fangirls. A mob of girls would often come in front of his house and shout and call for him. Even though Naruto had been intimidating them with his Ryotsu, the girls would come on the next day, completely forgetting about the previous day. The black-haired Kuchiki spends the 2 months on training in his shunpo and taijutsu since the hand-to-hand combat was probably his worst skill so far. When Naruto would leave his house, he would always accidentally meet the Uchiha who always challenged him, and when Naruto refused he would attack from behind, but no matter what he tried, he always ended knocked out and his teammates would have to take him to hospital. It has been 2 months since the Genin exams and we currently meet Naruto meditating on his pond in his back garden. The Kuchiki has been relaxing after another rather tiring training session of hand-to-hand combat mixed with some shunpo. The boy sat in a zen position with his eyes closed and his zanpakuto laying in his lap. Without opening his eyes, Naruto spoke. "What do you want?" His tone was emotionless, but if you tried you could hear a bit of anger that someone was disturbing his peace. The Anbu who appeared in front of Naruto was shocked that a genin could detect his so easily, but soon answered, "Kuchiki-sama. Hokage-sama wishes to meet you at his office immediately," said the Anbu. Naruto nodded and stood up and sheathed his katana. "Very well, I will be there in a moment," said the genin. The Anbu officer nodded and disappeared in Shunshin. Naruto calmly walked over to where his haori was laying on the ground, folded tidily. The Kuchiki dressed his haori and shunpoed to Hokage's office. Appearing in Hokage's office, Naruto was slightly intrigued to see Team 7 standing in front of the Sandaime. Said man turned to Naruto and gave him a kind smile. "Kuchiki-san, good to see you again. I have a joint mission for you and Team 7. You 5 will be escorting a bridge builder to the Land of Waves and will protect him until he finishes the bridge. You all will meet him in 1 hour at the South Gate. Be prepared for at least 2 weeks long mission. Any questions?" "Well then, Kakashi will be leading this mission," Sandaime said while tossing the scroll with mission detail to the one-eyed Jonin. "You heard Hokage-sama. Meet me in 1 hour at the South Gate. Now go and pack for the mission. Don't be late," he said with an eye smile and wave of hand before he disappeared in a poof of smoke. A few moments later, the 3 genin of Team 7 left the office, leaving just Naruto and Hiruzen. "What can I do for you, Kuchiki-san?" asked Hiruzen with a smile, but Naruto gave him a look that made the professor turn serious. "You are probably wondering why am I sending you for a simple escort mission. The reason is that I think that Tazuna was lying to us when he said that it was a simply C-rank mission, and so I am sending you to watch over Team 7, Sandaime said, making Naruto nod. "Understood, Hokage-sama," and with a small bow, Naruto vanished to pack for his mission. 1 hour later, we find Team 7 together with Naruto waiting for the bridge builder to appear. The old man has been already late for 5 minutes. After another 3 more minutes, an old man with gray hair, wearing a brown shirt and gray pants joined them. All of the shinobi could feel the alcohol coming from the man, while Team 7 were talking how disgusting it was. Naruto preferred to close his eyes to show his displeasure. "Oi! What are those brats? I paid to be protected by real ninja, not some pink-haired banshee, emo, and some pale kid, and you with the sword. Do you even know how to use that thing?" asked the old man while pointing on every of the genin. While Naruto and Kakashi ignored the insults, Sakura was a little bit more vocal. "I am a proud kunoichi. And you have to know that Sasuke-kun is the best ninja in the village. So don't talk about him as emo," screeched the pink-haired girl, making all of the others wince. Now, Tazuna-san, that is what you get for a C-ranked mission. Besides, even if the 4 of them can't protect you, you still have me, an elite jonin. There is no need to fear. Besides, we will engage only bandits," Kakashi said with an eye smile. Tazuna grunted and started to walk out of the gate. "Whatever, as long as you will protect me then fine, let's move now, the bridge won't build itself," the slightly drunken man said, and soon Team 7 and Naruto were following him. The group took a standard formation, with Sasuke and Sakura being in front of Tazuna, Naruto on the left, Sai on the right and Kakashi on the rear. As the group was walking towards the Land of Waves, Sakura was getting bored, so she started to ask Tazuna about his home village. "Nay, Tazuna-san, what does Land of Waves looks like?" asked the pink-haired kunoichi. Tazuna thought about the answer for a moment and then answered. "Well, the Land of Waves is a beautiful country with breathtaking sunsets, which are decorated with the powerful, yet beautiful waves which course around our island. It is truly a lovely place, and so are the people," Tazuna said with a small smile on his face, but both Naruto and Kakashi were able to hear that a little bit of sadness in his voice. After this, there was a comforting silence, which was accompanied by the chirping of birds. Over an hour later, the group came on something unusual. There, in the middle of the road, on a sunny day in the middle of summer was a big puddle of water. Naruto looked over his shoulder on Kakashi to see how the older ninja would react. But the man only tensed slightly, and besides that, he was still reading his small orange book. As the group walked past the puddle, Naruto's left hand, which was hidden the whole trip by his kimono sleeve, rested on the sheath of his katana, ready to unsheath it at any moment. Suddenly 2 people came out of the puddle and rushed at shocked Kakashi. Soon after this, they entrapped the Jonin in a chain that was connecting the 2 of them. Suddenly they pulled the chain, cutting him into pieces. 1 down, 4 to go, said one of them, and they rushed at shocked Sai, who was rooted in place, as the 2 attackers closed on Sai. Sasuke threw a kunai which kept the 2 missing nin bound to ground. Sasuke rushed one of the attackers and kicked him on the chin, making him fly back. His brother unbound the chain and swung with his claw at Sasuke, who had no way to dodge it. Shit, thought Sasuke as he put up a hasty X-guard in front of his face, but when he felt no pain but a cling of metal, he opened his previously closed eyes and saw Naruto standing in front of him, his katana held in his right hand, blocking the claw. Pathetic, said Naruto as the attacker jumped back to stand next to his brother. They looked at each other and nodded. They rushed at Naruto, and when one of them swung his claw at Naruto, the genin simply moved his head back and then blocked the same attack from the other ninja with his katana. Before Naruto could do anything else, Kakashi appeared behind the 2 missing nin and delivered 2 punches to the back of their head, knocking them out. Well done, team, Naruto, said the one-eyed ninja while giving them a smile. Sai, Tazuna and Sakura were looking relieved that Kakashi was alive. Sasuke was sheeting silently that Naruto once again performed better than him. Naruto himself sheathed his katana and ignored Kakashi's interrogation of Tazuna, while he was himself deep in thoughts. If this Gato has indeed hired those 2, is there chance that maybe, no, I should get my hopes too high, the dark-haired Kuchiki thought. After the little story about the Wave Country, Gato, and why Tazuna is building the bridge, Kakashi turned to his team and Naruto. So what do you guys think about it? Should we return to Konoha or should we continue this mission? Asked the lazy Jonin. This time it was Naruto who spoke first. I say we continue this mission, said the 16th head of Kuchiki family with his usual emotionless voice, while his cold gray eyes bored into Kakashi's black one. An Uchiha never backs down from a challenge, said the last loyal Uchiha with his smirk. Sakura looked a bit unsure before, but after Sasuke said he wanted to go, she also wanted to go. Sai thought about his decision for a bit longer, but in the end, he decided to go with them. Good, I think that we can continue now. Lead the way, Tazuna-san, said the ex-Anbu captain, making Tazuna bow and thank them repeatedly. 1 hour later we find that Naruto and Team 7 together with Tazuna were swimming towards the land of waves by one of Tazuna's friends. As they left the boat and started to walk the forest, which was a handful of kilometers before Tazuna's village, as the group was nearing the village, Sai suddenly threw a kunai into the nearby bushes. Kakashi slowly walked over the bushes, and when he looked where the weapon was thrown, he saw a white rabbit being almost hit by the weapon. What do you think you are doing, Sai Baka? Screeched Sakura as she hit Sai over the head. The 2 genin were so preoccupied they didn't saw the thoughtful expression on Kakashi, and neither did they see the shocked face of Naruto, who was looking at the rabbit with wide eyes. Get down! Kakashi shouted as he pushed Tazuna and Sakura down, while Sasuke, Sai, and Naruto ducked under a large sword which soon impaled into a nearby tree. As the 5 persons looked at the sword, they saw a figure looking over his shoulder at them. Well, Kakashi of the Sharingan, it's an honor to meet you, said the figure, while Kakashi took out a kunai and stepped into a fighting stance. Momochi Zabuza, the demon of the mist, a ranked missing nin for trying a coup d'etat and a failed assassination of the Yondaime Mizukage, said the Konoha ninja. Zabuza chuckled slightly and looked at the people behind Kakashi. My, it looks like you took a genin team, he said as he looked over Sasuke, Sakura, and Sai. His gaze shifted to Naruto and his eyes widened. I am possible. Naruto! Zabuza shouted in shock. Team 7 and Tazuna looked at Naruto, who calmly looked at the missing nin. Long time no see, Zabuza-san. If you are here, does that mean that before the Kuchiki could end his sentence, everyone heard a female voice shout something from the nearby bushes? Naruto-kun. Suddenly a person jumped out of bushes, tackled the Kuchiki to the ground while hugging him tightly. Kakashi tensed slightly, ready to attack if necessary, but relaxed slightly when he saw Naruto hug the person back. How have you been doing, Haku-chan? Team 7's and Kakashi's eyes widened when they saw a small smile crept on Naruto's face. Haku slowly let go of Naruto and the two stood up. Now that Kakashi could look at her, he could see that she was wearing a Mist Hunter Nin uniform and mask while on her back was strapped a katana. The guard is in form of a four-pointed bronze-colored star, while the wrapping around the hilt is of the light blue color. The sheath is dark blue. As the two of them were standing, Haku started to glare at Naruto, who was sweating slightly under her gaze. Something wrong, Haku-chan? He asked in his usual monotone voice, which made the girl glare at him even more. It seems that I have lot work to do, again, she said, making everyone raise an eyebrow at this statement. Haku-chan? Asked the Kuchiki, not sure what the fake Hunter Nin was speaking about. I didn't saw you for only a year and you are back to your I am Kuchiki. I am superior to you attitude. It seems I will have to knock it out of you again, she said, making everyone sweat drop, while Naruto let out a nervous chuckle, remembering how exactly Haku beat this attitude out of him last time. Kuchiki-san, where do you know them from and more importantly, are they a threat? Asked Kakashi, who was still in his fighting stance. Naruto looked over his shoulder to Team 7 and Tazuna. They are not a threat to use and I will tell you how I met them at Tazuna's house, he said in his usual blank voice. Let's go. Haku-chan. Zabuza. Tazuna-san, lead the way, he commanded but Kakashi stopped him. Wait, we should take Zabuza down, he is, after all, a missing nin from Kiri, Kakashi said and prepared to attack Zabuza, but was stopped when he felt a powerful pressure hit him. Kakashi, now on his knees and hands, looked at Naruto who was looking at him with his emotionless face. Let me rephrase it to you, Hitaki, I, Kuchiki Naruto, 16th head of Kuchiki noble family am putting both Momochi Zabuza and Yuki Haku under absolute protection of my clan. Will anyone tries to harm them, I will personally kill this person, Naruto said as he turned around and told Tazuna to lead the way. Soon the large party arrived at Tazuna's house where they were greeted by Tsunami who was Tazuna's daughter. After they entered the whole party sat around a table. Naruto was sitting between Zabuza and Haku, who was resting her head on Naruto's shoulder, an action that didn't go unnoticed by Team 7. Long story short, after I departed for my 4 years long training trip, I first traveled to River Country where I spent 2 months. When I was about to leave to continue my travels, I met Haku-chan and after some arguments, I was allowed to join them and then I was trained by Zabuza in Kenjutsu. I spent 3 years traveling with them, gaining experience and polishing my skills. When the 3 years passed, I promised them that once I get back to Konoha and become official clan head, I will find them and assure them asylum in Konoha under my clan's protection, Naruto said in his usual manner, making Kakashi nod. Kuchiki-san, can I be so bold and ask you about your relationship with Haku-san here? Said the one-eyed Jonin with a perverted giggle. Naruto's impassive mask faded as a warm smile crept on his face. Haku-chan is my girlfriend, he said in a warm tone while giving Haku a quick kiss on her cheek, making the girl blush slightly. So, if I understood right, Zabuza-san and Haku-san are coming back to Konoha with us? Asked the silver-haired man and got a nod in response. He then turned to Zabuza. Well then, Zabuza-san, since you are obviously our ally now, what can you tell us about Gato's location? After Zabuza has told Kakashi about Gato's whereabouts, the copycat ninja has decided that he will be training his genin team and one day before they would go back to Konoha, the group would raid and destroy Gato's base and kill the man. So for the next week, Kakashi has been training Sakura, Sasuke, and Sai in chakra control, teaching them the tree climbing exercise. While Team 7 has been training, Naruto, Haku and Zabuza have been talking about what they have done in the last year. Naruto also asked Haku how far she has got with her training, and so we are here, on a clearing close to Tazuna house, Team 7, Zabuza and Tazuna standing on the sides, watching as Naruto and Haku stared at each other. Only Kenutsu and Kido, alright? Asked Naruto making Haku nod. Without any more words said, Haku and Naruto unsheathed their swords at the same time. Haku took a Kenjutsu stance while Naruto's katana was held in his right hand which was hanging limply on his side. Huh, he surely is underestimating this girl, said Tazuna. Seeing how Naruto didn't take a fighting stance, Zabuza snorted, making everyone look at him. He is not underestimating Haku, said the brown-haired man, making all of the watchers look at him with confusion. What you can see is Naruto's Kenjutsu stance, said the ex-Kiri ninja, and before anyone could ask anything, they saw that both fighters were about to begin. The two of them looked at each other a little longer before the two of them vanished and appeared in the middle of the clearing. They swords in a deadlock. They looked in each other's eyes and jumped a bit back. Haku was the first to attack. She rushed at Naruto with a horizontal slash, which Naruto avoided, jumping back and countered with a diagonal slash at Haku's left shoulder. The brown-haired girl swiftly moved her katana up and blocked Naruto's attack. The two of them stayed in this position for a bit longer until Naruto pointed his left pal at Haku. Hado number 31. Shikaho, he said, and a red orb gathered in Naruto's palm. Seeing the attack, Haku quickly sued Shunpo to get behind Naruto and tried to cut Naruto's neck, but the Kuchiki was able to rise his katana and block the attack. He quickly used Shunpo and appeared on Haku's unguarded left side and tried to stab her in her shoulder, but the girl was able to save herself with using Shunpo and get 10 meters away from Naruto. From her position, Haku positioned her palm that it was facing Naruto and started to chant. Ye Lord! Mask of blood and flesh, all creation, the flutter of wings, ye who bears the name of man. Inferno and pandemonium, the sea barrier surges, march on to the south. She said, confusing the onlookers. Hado number 31. Shikaho. A red orb gathered in her hand and shot toward the Kuchiki. When the attack touched the place where the boy was standing, the area exploded, shocking the Genin team and Tazuna. Suddenly Naruto appeared behind Haku, his katana already in the middle of a diagonal slash, ready to cut Haku on her back. She was able to use Shunpo in time to avoid getting injured, but Naruto still was able to slightly nick her back. Haku, feeling getting slowly tired, took her Kenjutsu stance once more before saying, "Nay, Naruto-kun, I think it is time for us to go a bit further," she said, making Naruto raise an eyebrow at it. "Go further?" he asked, making her nod and point her katana at the sky. She looked at Naruto and gave him a grin. "Sit upon the frozen heaven, Hiranmaru," she yelled. Suddenly everyone around them could feel the change of temperature as it started to get cold. Everyone looked at Haku's katana, how it started to slightly lengthen and gained a crescent-shaped blade attached to its hilt by a long metal chain. Everyone was speechless, the Genin and Tazuna, because they never thought that a katana can change like this. Kakashi looked shocked because from what he knew, it was Kuchiki clan's bloodline. Naruto, on the other hand, looked at Haku because he didn't believe that she would be able to unlock the Shikai in only a year. Seeing her chance, Haku swung her blade, making a large Chinese dragon shot out of the blade, towards Naruto, who was still stunned. The Kuchiki was able to use Shunpo, but the dragon still hit him on his left shoulder. Naruto appeared on Haku's left and was about to use Shunpo to attack her, but he couldn't feel his left hand. Looking at it, what he saw made his eyes widen in shock. His shoulder down to his elbow was frozen in ice and the ice was still slowly going down. Before it could expand too much, Naruto hit it with the hilt of his katana, making the ice shattered. As soon as the ice shattered, Naruto had to avoid another dragon made of ice, but this time he was able to avoid it completely. Naruto appeared behind Haku and once again swung his blade at her, but she was able to duck under it. Then she turned around and tried to impale him with her katana, but the Kuchiki was able to parry this attack and counter with a diagonal slash. Haku, seeing the attack coming, used Shunpo to gain some distance. As soon as she appeared 10 meters from Naruto, she heard his voice again. Bakudo number 61. Rikujakuro. Before Haku could move, 6 yellow beams hit her in her torso, making her unable to move. Haku tried to overpower the Bakudo, but the spell was too strong for her. Naruto used Shunpo to appear in front of her with his katana on her throat. Haku sighed. "I give up," she said, and Naruto removed his sword from her throat and sheathed it. The light beams disappeared and she was free again. Haku sealed her Zanpakudo and sheathed the katana. "You improved greatly, Haku-chan. Your Shunpo is very fast. You are able to use a 31-level Hado and you have unlocked your Shikai in only 1 year," Naruto said with a small smile. "You aren't too bad yourself, Naruto-kun, but I am sure that if I could use my Hiden I would win," she said with a grin. Haku's statement made Naruto smirk. "We can see if you are right tomorrow," said the Kuchiki. The two started to walk to the rest of the group. When they joined the group, they could see the odd looks in Tazuna's, Sei and Sakura's eyes and the jealous and hateful eyes of Sasuke. "Kuchiki-san, if you don't mind my asking, I thought that only a Kuchiki can possess a Zanpakudo. How is it possible that Haku-san here possesses one?" asked the one-eyed Jonin with curiosity. I gave it to her as a parting gift as well as some scrolls to help her train in my clan's style and bloodline, Naruto said, making all three genin look at him confused. Your clan posse's a bloodline? Asked curious Sakura, never having heard of it. Naruto nodded. Indeed, as you may know, the Biju posse's very dense and evil chakra. Their chakra is so powerful that it isn't called chakra anymore. It called Yoki. Kuchiki clan also posse's very dense and powerful chakra. Even more potent than the Senjus, we call our chakra Reizu, and thanks to it my clan was able to create Kido, which is simply our own clan ninjutsu. Like the Naras or Yamanakas, but here is the difference. We Kuchiki can transfer Reizu to someone, exactly like I did with Hiku-chan. Naruto explained in his usual tone. I think that's enough of explanation, he said as Hiku and Zabuza started to walk with Zabuza towards the bridge. Looking at their retreating forms, Sakura turned to Kakashi, seeing how he seems to know a few things about the Kuchiki clan. Nay, Kakashi-sensei, what is a Zanpakuto? She asked, making her two teammates turn to their sensei, also wanting to know. The Jonin thought about it for a moment. The Kuchiki clan is known for their Kido and their special swords. It is told that each sword has a soul that gives the user great abilities once the user gets to know the name of the soul. That is the only thing I know, said Kakashi. Well, seeing how Kuchiki-san, Hiku-san, and Zabuza-san went to protect the bridge builder, that leaves us to train, so let's go, he said, and his students followed him. 1 week later, one day before the bridge would be finished, Kakashi, Zabuza, Naruto, and Hiku went to assassinate Gato. Kakashi decided that his team should stay at Tazuna's house to protect the bridge builder and his family, but his main reason was that he didn't think that they were ready. As the group got close, they were standing before a large building around which were campings for Gato's thugs. They could see that the thugs weren't really prepared for an ambush. They agreed before that they would break into two groups, one being Naruto and Hiku, the other Zabuza and Kakashi. The two Jonin would stay outside and created havoc, making it easier for the other two to sneak into the building and assassinate Gato. Let's go, Kakashi said, making the other three nod. The one-eyed Jonin started going through a set of hand seals, as did Zabuza. Meanwhile, the two of them started preparing. Naruto and Hiku used Shunpo to gain some distance with them. The couple waited for a moment until they heard two voices shout out just two names. Kaden. Great Fireball Jutsu, shouted Kakashi, exhaling an orb of fire, which flew at the thugs. Suiten. Water Dragon Jutsu. Zabuza spat out a large volume of water which formed into a yellow-eyed dragon, which devastated a large number of thugs. Soon all the thugs started to rush and attack the two Jonin, seeing how their comrades have done their part of the plan. Naruto and Hiku quietly rushed over the building and entered it. When they were inside, they quietly followed the corridors towards Gato's office. Soon they were standing in front of a pair of the door which was the entrance to Gato's office. They looked at each other and with a nod, they opened the door. As soon as they did it, two thugs rushed at them with katana in their hands. Before they knew what happened, they were both killed by their own blades. Naruto and Hiku walked inside and looked at them with fear, but it quickly vanished when he saw who Naruto's partner was. What are you doing here? I hired you and Zabuza to assassinate the bridge builder. And who is this punk? He shouted, pointing his cane at the black-haired teen, who was looking at him with an impassive face. Ah, you see, Gato, we kind of changed sides, said Hiku as she and her boyfriend got closer to the businessman. Then what are you doing here? Asked the confused short man. We are here to kill you, Naruto answered in a cold voice, which made Gato look at him with wide eyes. Gato put his hands in a defensive manner. And now, there is no need to do this. I can give you everything you want. Money, women, land, everything. Just name the price, said the businessman. Without any word, Naruto pointed his right index finger and aimed at Gato's heart. Hado number 4. Byakurai, he said in a cold voice, and white lighting shot out of his finger, piercing Gato's heart and killing him in an instant. Hiku looked at her boyfriend with a raised eyebrow and asked her question. Wouldn't it be easier to simply cut his head? She asked, making Naruto snort. I would never unsheath my Zanpakuto for an insect like him, said the Kuchiki as he started to head out of the room, but stopped and paled on Hiku's next words. I really need to get to work with you, superiority attitude, she said, and left the room, quickly followed by Naruto. After coming back from Wave, Team 7, Naruto, Haku, and Zabuza went to give a report about their mission and to make Zabuza and Haku official ninja of Konoha. After Kakashi gave his report, Sandaime Hokage dismissed him and his team, leaving only him, Naruto, Zabuza and Haku. After short questioning why Zabuza and Haku want to join Konoha and Naruto saying that his clan will take the responsibility should they do something, Hiruzen asked Naruto a question. Well then, Kuchiki-san, what rank would you give those two? Asked Sarutobi. The two new members of Kuchiki clan turned to Naruto who answered without any thoughts, having predicted such a question. I would give the rank of Jonin to Momochi Zabuza and the rank of Genin to Kuchiki Haku. I would also place Haku-san on my Genin team and make Zabuza-san the Jonin sensei of said team, said Naruto in his usual cold voice. Sarutobi nodded his head and took out 2 Konoha headbands and gave them to Zabuza and Haku. Welcome to our ranks, Jonin Momochi Zabuza, Genin Kuchiki Haku, Hiruzen said, making them bow in respect to their new leader. If that is all, Hokage-sama, we will excuse ourselves, said Naruto, making Hiruzen nod and dismiss them. When they left the office, they started to walk towards the Kuchiki mansion. So what now, Naruto-kun? Asked Haku as they walked through the village towards their new home. Seeing how Zabuza is now a member of Kuchiki clan, I think we both know what we have to do, said the black-haired boy, making Zabuza's and Haku's eyes to widen. Naruto, you don't mean to, Zabuza said, but was stopped by Naruto. Of course I do. You are a member of my clan, so you deserve to wield the power of Kuchiki. Besides, you are one of the few people who I would give the power of my clan with the knowledge that you will carry our name with pride. Tomorrow I will give you access to Ryotsu, and me together with Haku-chan will be teaching you in the arts of Kuchiki, said the Kuchiki clan head. When they arrived, Naruto showed them around the mansion and led them to their rooms in which they found their new clothes, which were the traditional Kuchiki attires. Haku wore now a black kimono with a sky blue undergarment. The sleeves of her kimono were going down to the middle of her forearm. On the kimono were a few small teal-blue snowflakes which reminded her of the ability of her Zanpakuto. Around her waist was an obi sash of the same color that her undergarment was. She also has shinobi sandals of the same color as her kimono. The next thing was a white short-sleeved haori which went down to her knees. On the back of the haori was a black rhombus and inside was a black kanji for 2, where Naruto's haori had kanji for 1. Haku decided that when she is home, she won't be wearing her haori. The last part of her new attire was a scarf made of a silver-white, windflower light silk, which is the same material of Naruto's fingerless teko. Seeing how the scarf was given as a present from clan head to the person they loved since numerous generations, it was almost priceless. It is said that the scarf is worth as much as Shodem Hokage's necklace, which if sold would be able to buy 3 mountains containing gold mines from the prophet. Haku tied the scarf around her neck and strapped her Zanpakuto on her back, like she always did, and walked towards kitchen as she could smell Naruto cooking something. When she entered kitchen, she saw that Zabuza was already there. Zabuza was also wearing a black kimono, but he was revealing his chest. Under his kimono, he wore a white undergarment, much like Naruto. The kimono was tied by a white obi sash. The sleeves of his kimono went down only to his elbows. Haku saw that Zabuza's haori was lying on a couch which was in the living room, next to the kitchen. His haori was sleeveless and looked like the sleeves were ripped out. On the back of the haori was a black rhombus and a black kanji for 3. She saw that on Zabuza's forearms were forearm warmers which were probably made from the same material as her scarf and Naruto's teko. She could see that Zabuza still was wearing bandages around his face, hiding his mouth. As she sat down next to Zabuza at the table, she asked a question that was bugging her since she hears that Zabuza will also get a Zanpakuto. Naruto-kun, I was wondering, if you will give Ryotsu to Zabuza, what will happen to his Kabikirabocho? She asked her boyfriend, who laid 3 bowls of ramen on the table and took a sit in front of her. Yeah, I also was wondering about that, Zabuza added, making Naruto think about it for a moment. I have 2 possible outcomes. Either you will simply get a new Zanpakuto and will have to stop using Kukikirabocho, or the Kabikirabocho will become your Zanpakuto, said the black-haired boy, making Zabuza raise an eyebrow. How would be that possible? Asked the Jonin, wondering how could a normal sword become a part of his soul. Well, I am not sure how that would work, but I think that there is a chance that it will work, so you bring the Kabikirabocho tomorrow with you, said the clan head of Kuchiki clan, making Zabuza nod. After they ate, they all decided to go to sleep, seeing how tomorrow would be a very tiring day for them. As Naruto was about to go sleep, he heard a knock on his door. He stood up and opened the door, to see who it was. When he opened the door, he saw Haku standing there with a blush on her face. As Naruto looked what she was wearing, he also started to blush. Haku had on her only an oversized t-shirt which went down only a bit further than her waist. Besides the shirt, she was wearing only a pair of sky blue panties and bra. "See, could I sleep with you tonight, Naruto-kun?" she asked quietly, not looking at him. Naruto smiled. "Of course, come in," he said, blush still present. Naruto closed the door after she came in and the two of them laid on the bed. The two of them got comfortable and hugged each other, while Haku paid her head on his bare chest, using it as a pillow. "Good night, Haku-chan," said Naruto, giving her a kiss on her cheek as she snuggled closer to him. "Good night, Naru-kun," she said, and both of them drifted into blissful sleep. On the next morning, we find Naruto, Haku, and Zabuza standing in the backyard of the mansion. All of them had their complete attires on them. Additionally, Zabuza had the Kabikirabocho strapped on his back. "Let's start then, Momochi Zabuza, step forward," Naruto said, and Zabuza did as said. "By the power gave me as the 16th head of the Kuchiki clan, I, Kuchiki Naruto, hereby name you the third member of Kuchiki clan. From now on, your name will be Kuchiki Zabuza. Carry our name with pride and show everyone why Kuchiki clan is the strongest clan in elemental nations," Naruto said in his business mode. Then without any warning, he unsheathed his Zanpakuto and stabbed Zabuza in the middle of his chest and started to pour chakra into Zabuza. Suddenly, Zabuza and Kabikirabocho started to glow in bright red color, and as fast as the glow came, it vanished. Naruto sheathed his Zanpakuto and inspected Zabuza. "How do you feel?" asked Haku, who walked closer to the two. Zabuza tightened his fist a few times and smirked. "Stronger, better and purer," he said the last part, not sure how to describe the feeling. He turned to Naruto when he hears him hum for a moment. "Something wrong, Naruto?" he asked, but Naruto quickly shook his head. "Nope, actually it's great. I don't see any sword on you besides Kabikirabocho, meaning that it is probably your Zanpakuto," said the dark-haired genin, making Zabuza's eyes to widen as he unsheathed his new Zanpakuto and inspected it. The sword looked like it always did. The only difference was that the blade was pure black instead of the normal silver it was. Zabuza made a few swings to see if anything else changed, and when he was satisfied, he turned to Naruto and Haku, who were waiting until he ended. "So, what now?" asked the Jonin. Naruto and Haku looked at each other and then gave Zabuza an evil smile. What are you planning?" he asked, not sure if he should run or try to fight. "Well, seeing how brutally you trained us, I think we should give you a taste of your own medicine." They ate in unison, making Zabuza shiver. "Let's start, shall we?" they asked once again in perfect synchronization. And it went this way for the next 2 weeks. They would wake up, eat breakfast, go train in Kuchiki arts, then eat lunch. Naruto and Haku would take some D-rank missions, while Zabuza would try to contact his Zanpakuto's soul. Then they would eat dinner, and then they would spend the evening together and then go sleep, and then all would be repeated. After 2 weeks, we can find Naruto and Haku walking through the streets of Konoha towards their apartment. As they were walking by an alley, they heard a child's voice shout at someone. Naruto looked at Haku with a raised eyebrow, and she answered with a shrug of her shoulder. The two of them walked to where the commotion was taking place and saw a person in an all-black bodysuit with cat ears lifting a young boy by his scarf. Behind the older boy was a blonde-haired girl, who had a large fan strapped on her back. They also saw Sakura, who was trying to please the black-clad boy to leave the younger boy go. "Kankuro, let the brat go and let's go. You don't want to anger him, don't you?" asked the blonde-haired girl. A shiver went down Kankuro's spine, but he smirked. "Don't worry, Tamari, I don't sense him anywhere. Besides, it will be over in second," Kankuro said as he cocked his fist back, preparing to hit the younger boy in the face. "I wouldn't recommend doing this if I would be you," said a cool voice, making everyone look around to find who said this. Soon they found Naruto and Haku standing on a nearby rooftop, their houris flapping in the light breeze. "Get lost, brat, or I will have to beat you to a pulp," said Kankuro with a superior smirk. Naruto shook his head at Kankuro's ignorance of who the young boy is. "As I said, I wouldn't recommend attacking Sandyami Hokage's grandson. It could end in a war between our villages," Naruto said, making Kankuro's and Tamari's eyes to widen. Kankuro let go of Konoha Naruto, who ran behind Sakura as fast as he could. "Kankuro, you are an embarrassment to our village," said another emotionless voice, making Kankuro and Tamari freeze in fear. Sasuke, who was on a branch next to the newcomer, looked at him with wide eyes, since he wasn't able to sense him. "Gee Gaara, it is not what it looks like." They start Kankuro tried to explain but was interrupted by his younger sibling's commanding voice. "Shut up or I will kill you," said Gaara as he used Shunshin to appear in front of his teammates. "I apologize on behalf of my teammates, let's go," he commanded, and they started to walk away, but a voice stopped them. "Hey, you, what is your name?" They turned to see Sasuke standing there with his usual smirk. Tamari blushed and pointed at herself. "Who? Me?" she asked, but Sasuke shook his head and pointed at Gaara. "No, not you, him. What is your name?" asked the young Uchiha. Gaara looked at him for a moment and then answered. "Sabaku no Gaara. What is your name?" he asked in his usual emotionless voice, making Sasuke's smirk grow wider. "My name is Uchiha." Sasuke started but was interrupted by Gaara, who wasn't even looking at him. He turned to look where Gaara was looking and saw Naruto and Haku still standing there. "What is your name?" asked Gaara, looking directly in Naruto's cold gray eyes and releasing some killing intent. The Kuchiki raised an eyebrow at the killing intent but ignored it otherwise. "My name is Kuchiki Naruto, the 16th head of Kuchiki clan," answered the Konoha genin, making Gaara give another question. "Are you gonna participate in the Chunin exams?" asked the redhead, and Naruto nodded with only a nod of his head. Seeing his answer, Gaara gave Naruto an insane smile. "Good. Mother will be enjoying your blood," he said. The young redhead turned around and his face once again became a mask of emotionless. He started to walk away, not even paying attention to the fuming Uchiha. "Let's go, Haku-chan. We have to prepare for exams," said Naruto, and the two vanished in the speed of Shunpo, leaving a fuming Sasuke, an excited Konohamaru, and a confused Sakura, who voiced her confusion aloud. "What are the Chunin exams?" 3 days later, Naruto and Haku were walking towards the Ninja Academy for the first part of the Chunin Exmas. When they entered the academy, they saw a group of genin trying to get into room with the number 301. They both looked at each other and without any word, they simply walked towards the stairs and walked on the next floor, the real third floor. When they were on the third floor, they nodded to each other and entered the room for the first exam. As soon as the door was opened, they could feel some pathetic killing intent focused on them. Brushing the key like it was nothing, they entered the room. "Haku-chan, you are here too?" asked a voice. When they turned to where the voice came, they saw Ino together with Shikamaru and Choki standing there. During the 2 weeks in Konoha, Haku had met Ino at the flower shop her parents owned, and the two of them became friends. "Ino-chan, I see that you and your team are also taking the exams, so those must be Shikamaru and Choji," Haku said, making the two wave to her. "Nice to meet both of you," said the Kuchiki girl. The group made some small talks, waiting for the first exam to begin. Somewhere during the time they waited, Team 8 and Team 7 joined them. As they were talking, a silver-haired genin from Konoha walked over to them. "Hello there, I noticed that you all are rookies, right?" asked the boy, making every one of the group look at him. Kiba, being as loud as he was, asked the question everyone wanted to ask. "And who the hell are you?" asked the Inuzuka heir, making every one of the group nods in agreement. "Ah, I almost forgot. My name is Yakushi Kabuto. This is my 7th time taking those exams," said the older boy with a small smile, making Kiba snort. "Man, you must really suck," said the brown-haired genin, making Kabuto's eyebrow to twitch. "Or the exams are really difficult, you don't know until you tried," said the silver-haired boy. Shikamaru, seeing that no one was going to say anything, asked another question. "Kabuto-san, if you don't mind me asking, why did you came here?" "Because I don't think that you came here only to chat with us," said the lazy genius, making Kabuto nod and take out a deck of cards. "You see, every time I took the exams, I have gathered information on every one of the participants, and seeing how I am your senior, I have decided to help you a little this time," Kabuto said, making Sasuke smirk. "I want information on Kuchiki Naruto," said the genin Uchiha in his usual arrogant voice. Kabuto nodded and shuffled through several cards until he found the one he was searching. "Well, there is not too much I can tell you about his stats, since most of them are his clan techniques which cannot be rated as normal shinobi skills. but I can tell you that he is a master swordsman. His skills in taijutsu are at least high chunin. His speed is off charts and his chakra reserves are higher than even Hokage-sama's, said Kabuto, making all of the geinin whom listened to go wide-eyed. Before anyone could say anything else, a large explosion of smoke gained everyone's attention. When it cleared, there was a few chunin standing, and in front of them, all was a man in a black coat. "All right, everyone, I am proctor of the first exams. My name is Ibiki Morino," he said. "All right, everyone knows how the exams go, and also I am gonna skip it because the first part is almost always boring." Kiba gives a speech about how he is never gonna give up because he is an alpha or some jazz like that, instead of Naruto. "There is only one thing I have to say to you. You all pass," Ibiki said, and before anyone could ask about the 10th question a bundle crashed through the window and soon there was a purple-haired special Jonin standing in front of them all. Naruto and Haku were using Shunpo to travel through the large forest of Training Ground 44 in which took place the second part of the Chunin exams. The objective was easy: find a team, defend them, take their scroll, and if it is the one they need, they head towards the tower in the middle of the forest. They have been given 5 days to accomplish this, and those who wouldn't be disqualified. As the two were heading forward, they entered a clearing and their way was blocked by a genin team from Iwa. The two Kuchiki stopped in their tracks and waited for the Iwa genin to make the first move. "Look boys who we got," snarled one of the Iwa genin, and the two others sneered at the Kuchiki pair. "Now we can kill these two and bring their heads to Tsuchikage-sama and become respected by the whole village," he said. "Think about all the women we are gonna get for being famous," said the other one with a glee in his eyes while ogling Haku, who frowned and prepared for the battle. "Yeah, that reminds me, before we kill the girl, let's have some fun with her," said the first one with a perverted grin on his face, like the two others. During their little conversation, Naruto's eyes went from their warm to cold, apathetic silver. Especially the last sentence made Naruto narrow his eyes and place a hand on the hilt of his Zanpakuto. "Haku-chan, I will take those two on left, you take the one on the right," said Naruto as he unsheathed his katana. Haku nodded and took her sword as well. Seeing their actions, the three Iwa ninja prepared for the fight. "Matsune, stay back. Kiyoshi, take the girl." "I will take him," said the first one, whose name was Sora and was obviously the leader of this group. His two companions nodded and the second one rushed to Haku, who was ready to respond. Kiyoshi took out a kunai and rushed at Haku, who blocked the first horizontal and sidestepped a forward thrust from the Iwa genin, using Shunpo to get behind her opponent. Haku made a horizontal slash at Kiyoshi's back, trying to cut him in two, but the boy was able to jump forward to avoid getting cut in two but still got a long cut on his back, which started to bleed. Naruto, who was waiting for his opponent's attack, jumped back as a spear come out of the ground and tried to impale him. The black-haired boy saw Sora making another set of hand seals, and having recognized them, Naruto pointed his palm at the Iwa genin. "Doten. Earth Dragon Justu!" shouted Sora, who hit the ground with his palms, and a brown dragon came out of the ground, its yellow eyes looking at Naruto before dashing at the Kuchiki, who stood there, not trying to avoid, which made Sora smirk before he hears Naruto's voice. "Hado number 31. Shakaho," said Naruto and fired a red orb of energy towards the dragon, which was destroyed into pieces when the two met. Sora and Mitsu, who was watching their fight, looked with wide eyes on Naruto. What was that?" asked Sora shakily, seeing how his strongest attack, which was a B-ranked jutsu, was destroyed practically without any effort on Naruto's side. "That is the power of the Kuchiki clan, a power you can never wish to obtain. Now disappear," said Naruto, and once again started to concentrate his Ryotsu in his right palm. "Hado number 33. Sokatsui," he said, and suddenly blue energy shot out of Naruto's plan, heading towards Sora, who started to make another set of hand seals. "Doten. Earth Mud Wall Jutsu." He spat out a large amount of mud that created a protective wall in front of him, exactly a moment before Naruto's Hado crushed into it. Back to Haku. The female Kuchiki was dodging spear after spear. Since Haku slashed Kiyoshi, the Iwa genin started to throw jutsu after jutsu at Haku, who had to dodge them. After dodging another spear, she hears Naruto call out his second Hado in this fight, which he probably ended by now, so she decided that it was time to end this as well. Haku used Shunpo to get on Kiyoshi's left and then pointed her right index finger at him and said 4 words, which made the Iwa genin go wide-eyed. "Hado number 4. Byakurai, she said, and exactly at the moment that the lighting shot out of her finger, Kiyoshi turned around to face her, but instead he got shot by lighting through his right shoulder, which made his shout out in pain and fell to his knees. Before he could do anything, Haku Flash stepped behind him and delivered a hit with the handle of her Zanpakuto to the back of his head, rendering him unconscious. Seeing how Naruto's Hado most likely killed his teammate, Mitsume was livid. Without any thoughts, he took out two kunai in reverse grip and rushed at Naruto, who was still standing in the spot he was when he fired his previous Hado. With a battle cry, Mitsume tried to slash Naruto. Seeing his next opponent closing to him, Naruto prepared himself to end this fight. Right in front of Mitsune's eyes, Naruto vanished and appeared a meter behind him. Everything was like in slow motion, even the pain that suddenly erupted in Mitsune's gut and chest. What was that?" asked Mitsune in a weak voice as he hit the ground, while blood was leaking out of his two wounds. Naruto looked at him with his cold silver eyes and then answered. Senka, a shunpo technique where one, moving to their opponent's back, directly attacks one's liver and then stabs him through the middle of the chest, Naruto said in an indifferent voice as he started to search for the needed. He was joined by Haku and the duo went towards the tower, seeing how they had both needed scrolls. 5 days later, preliminaries arena. As everyone came to the preliminaries arena, there were 7 teams standing, 5 from Konoha, 1 from Suna and 1 from Kiri. After Hayate asked who wanted to drop out, one of the Kiri genin dropped out, saying that he was too injured to continue. "Without further ado, let us the first fight begin," said Hayate, and everyone turned to look at the board, which chose the fight. After a moment the board stopped, showing 2 names. "Will Uchiha Sasuke and Inuzuka Kiba come down?" said Hayate. Seeing this matchup, Sasuke smirked, knowing that he will win without any problem. Kiba had same thoughts, and while he walked down onto the arena, he spoke something about kicking Uchiha's ass and such things. When both genin were down on the arena, Hayate lifted his right hand up and asked if the 2 of them were ready, on which both of them nodded. "Hajime," commanded the proctor and jumped back, to give the 2 genin space to fight. "Let's go, Akamaru," shouted Kiba as he and his ninkin rushed at Sasuke to engage him in taijutsu battle. The hand-to-hand fight was short when after a right hook from Kiba, Sasuke delivered a knee to the Inuzuka's gut and then an upward kick, which he copied from Lee. As Kiba was flying upward, Sasuke was about to jump and follow him, but before he could, he was bitten by Akamaru. "Stupid dog," shouted Sasuke as he kicked Akamaru in the ribcage, making the dog fly away. Kiba, who by this was already on the ground, saw Sasuke actions and was livid. "Akamaru, I am gonna kill you," Kiba shouted before going on all 4. "Ninpo. 4 legs jutsu," he said, and his features became more feral. With a newfound speed, Kiba rushed at Sasuke, planning to make the Uchiha pay for what he did to his companion. "Suga," Kiba shouted as he started to rapidly spin, becoming drill, which flew towards Sasuke, who saw this and jumped out of the way only for the drill to follow him. It went this way for another 3 minutes with Sasuke dodging Kiba, now using his Sharingan, and Kiba trying to land a hit on Sasuke. Suddenly Kiba stopped spinning and landed on the ground, panting heavily, making Sasuke smirk as he went through a set of hand seals and taking a large breath before exhaling it and calling his jutsu name. Kaden. Great Fireball Jutsu. Kiba tried to jump away, but because of his exhaustion, he wasn't able to fully avoid the jutsu. When he landed on the ground with a pained yell, everyone could see that his right arm and leg were badly burnt. Before Kiba could do anything, Sasuke appeared in front of him and delivered a brutal kick on Kiba's chin, making the Inuzuka boy go unconscious. "Winner, Uchiha Sasuke," said Hayate, making Sasuke smirk and walk away from the arena towards the observations area. As soon as the special Jonin declared Sasuke the winner, a group of medics rushed on the arena and took Kiba and Akamaru away. Once again, everyone turned to look at the board, waiting to know whose fight would be next. As the board stopped, Hayate called the next 2 names. "Will Kuchiki Naruto and Higurashi Tenten come down?" said Hayate. Haku wished the Kuchiki good luck as he and Tenten walked to the middle of the arena. Before the match could start, Tenten took out a sealing scroll and unsealed a casual katana. Hayate looked between the 2 of them. "Are you both ready?" he asked, and in answer, he got 2 nods from them. The Jonin then lifted his hand and made a cutting motion with it. "Then, begin," he stated and jumped back. The 2 genin didn't move for the first 20 seconds, they only stared at each other. After another few moments, Tenten tensed her muscles and was about to rush at Naruto but stopped when she saw him lift his right hand and point with his index finger at her. "What are you do?" Tenten wanted to ask but was interrupted by Naruto's voice. Hado number 4. Byakurai. Suddenly lighting shot out of his finger. It was very slower than usual Byakurai, but it was still fast enough to hit a genin. At the very moment she saw the lighting rush at her, Tenten jumped to the side to avoid getting a hole in her shoulder. When she landed she saw that Naruto made no move other than to move his hand to his side. Seeing this as a perfect opportunity, Tenten readied her katana and rushed at Naruto. As she got close enough she tried to slash, cut or pierce him, but no matter how fast she tried to be or how many feints she made, Naruto was able to read her movements perfectly and thus he sidestepped and dodged every one of her attacks. After another few tries, Tenten saw that it was useless to continue this. Seeing how she will grow only more tired, with a new plan in mind, she jumped back and while she was mid-air, she threw the sword at Naruto who simply moved his head to the right, making the blade fly next to him, not even coming close to cutting him. When Naruto looked back at Tenten, he saw her take out 2 scrolls and unroll them. Naruto looked at her with a raised eyebrow and waited for her to move. Back on the observation balcony, Lee gasped, getting the attention of everyone around. "She is going to use that technique," said the green-clad genin. "What technique are you talking about?" asked Haku, not even a bit bothered about Lee's reaction. The said genin looked down at the area, looking at Tenten with fire in her eyes and a fist clenched next to his face. "Tenten's most powerful technique and probably most deadly technique of our team," said the black-haired boy. After this confession, everyone looked down on the arena, wanting to see the technique. Down on the arena, Tenten threw the 2 scrolls high into the air, making them unfurl themselves even more. She then jumped and somehow levitated in the air while unsealing various weapons from the scrolls and started to throw them at Naruto. Twin Raising Dragons. Seeing the mass of weapons heading towards him, Naruto pointed his right palm at it. Bakudo number 81. Danku. Suddenly a transparent wall appeared in front of Naruto and every and each weapon bounced off the wall. It went this way for another 15 seconds until Tenten had no more weapons. When she landed on the ground and saw that Naruto hasn't moved and doesn't have a single cut, she lifted her hand up. "Proctor, I can't win this fight, I give up," Tenten said. Hayate looked at her and nodded, lifting his hand in Naruto's direction. "Winner, Kuchiki Naruto," announced Hayate, and a few claps were heard as Naruto used Shunpo to get on the balcony where he got a kiss from Haku. "I have thought that you would want to end this as fast as possible?" asked Zabuza, who was standing behind Naruto and Haku. The black-haired boy looked at Zabuza and then shrugged. "I wanted to see what she was able to do," he said, and the older Kuchiki grunted in answer. Soon, the board stopped once again, showing the next pair of names. "Will Sabaku no Gaara and Sabaku no Kankuro come down?" asked Hayate, and before the 2 of them came down, Kankuro raised his hand. "Proctor, I wish to forfeit," stated the black-wearing Suna genin, making Hayate, as well as other jonin and the Sandame, raise an eyebrow, but they all shrugged it. Hayate raised his right hand up and announced the winner. "Winner, Sabaku no Gaara. Now will Sabaku no Tamari and Haruno Sakura come down here?" he asked, and the 2 girls come down on the arena. "I will defeat you and show Sasuke-kun that I am worthy his love," shrieked the pink-haired girl, making Tamari sigh and shake her head. "Why do I always get the weak fangirls?" "Well, at least it will be quick," said the blonde-haired Suna ninja, making Sakura fume. "Don't underestimate me. I am a proud kunoichi of Konohagakure no Sato," screeched Sakura, making all present wince and Tamari narrow her eyes. "You? A proud kunoichi? More like a disgrace. Because of people like you, we, real kunoichi, are saw worse than shinobi. Now let me show you how a real kunoichi fights," Tamari said, and took out her fan and unfurled her fully, showing the 3 moons. "Hajime!" commanded Hayate and jumped away, not wanting to get in the way of an angry kunoichi. As soon as the proctor jumped back, Tamari pushed chakra into her fan and swung it at the pink-haired girl. "Sickle Weasel Jutsu," she said, and sent a torrent of wind towards the pink-haired girl, who didn't have time to avoid it and was lifted high into the air where she was cut countless times by the wind chakra. "Ah!" Sakura cried as the wind still cut into her flesh, making blood ooze out of the wounds. As soon as the jutsu ended, the female member of Team 7 started to fall down, and before she could hit the ground, Tamari placed her fan under the girl, making her fall back first on the metal. Sakura gasped in pain as she hit the metal and spat out a glob of blood. Pathetic, commented Tamari as she let Sakura fall on the ground and started to walk away. Soon a group of medics came and took Sakura away while Hayate announced Tamari the winner of the match. When Tamari got on the balcony, 2 next names appeared on the board. Everyone turned down on the arena when they heard Hayate's voice. "Will Nara Shikamaru and Yokuto of Kiri come down please?" said the sickly proctor, and the 2 of them proceeded to walk down for their match. I will not be writing this fight because I have no idea how to write this fight, so sorry. Both Shikamaru and Yokuto are unable to proceed, making the match a draw. Let's proceed to the next fight, he said, and everyone once again turned to look at the board. Will Kuchiki, Haku and Sai come down here please? Asked Hayate, as Sai and Haku were walking towards the arena. Zabuza nudged Naruto to gain his attention. Naruto, do you think that Haku will be able to win her match? Asked the brown-haired man, making Naruto look to him with a raised eyebrow. You know, you should have more faith in your own genin team, don't you think? Asked Naruto, and not waiting for Zabuza's answer he continued. We both know how strong Haku is with and without her Zanpakuto. You don't have to worry about her, reassured Naruto, and Zabuza nodded, knowing fully well how strong Haku is, but he needed to be sure. After all, he thought about her as a daughter and he won't let anyone harm her. Are both participants ready? Asked Hayate, and the 2 genin nodded. Then begin, and with that, he jumped back to give them room to fight. As soon as the match began, Sai jumped back to gain some distance from Haku. He suddenly took out a brush, ink and a scroll and started painting in it at a rapid pace. As soon as he was finished, meaning after 2 or 3 seconds, he made a half-ram seal and called out, "Ninpo! Super Beast Scroll!" Suddenly 3 black-white lions made of ink jumped out of the scroll and rushed at Haku. Seeing the incoming thread, Haku took out 3 senbon out of her kimono, and with a single fluid motion, she threw the small needles at the lions, efficiently destroying them. Suddenly she was forced to unsheath her Zanpakuto to block a slash from Sei Tonto. "You are good," she said as she parried his sword to left, making Sai lose his balance, and then delivered a roundhouse kick to Sei chest, making him fly a bit back. "But not good enough," she said, and sheathed her katana, starting to make a series of hand seals. Sweden. Water bullet. Haku spat out a large orb of water which flew at a fast speed at Sai, who was able to dodge it in last moment. Before he could relax, he had been hit with another orb, which sends him flying back. Sai hit the wall of the arena and spat out blood. "You should give up," Haku recommended, but Sai smirked at her and suddenly changed into ink, making Haku's eyes to widen when she saw Sai in corner of her eye. It was a perfect plan in Sei's mind. He used his 3 lions to get time to make an ink clone of himself and hide underground with a Doden Jutsu. He has pushed more than needed chakra into the clone, making it able to live for a few more seconds even after getting hit. Then when she would hit her clone, he would cut her from behind. The plan was almost flawless. Almost. Sai forgot that every Kuchiki was able to use Shunpo, a technique which might be seen as an offensive move, but it is almost as useful as a defensive technique. When Haku saw Sai behind her, she quickly used Shunpo to get away from him, making Sai go wide-eyed and miss Haku. That was a close one. I should finish this now, Haku thought, and pointed her right palm at Sai. Hado number 31. Shakaho. She shot out a red orb of energy at Sai, who avoided it at the last moment. Bakudo number 9. Horin. Everyone heard Haku's voice, and Sai saw that yellow-orange energy appeared on Haku's right index and middle finger. Suddenly it shot out of Haku's fingers and flew directly at Sai, who jumped to the left. He was about to rush at Haku, but out of the corner of his eyes, he saw that the tendril turned around and suddenly wrapped around Sai, not even giving the pale boy chance to dodge. Sai tried to get out of it, but Haku Flash stepped next to him with her Zanpakuto at Sei's throat. She turned to Hayate and nodded to him, making him nod back and lift his right hand. "Winner Kuchiki Haku," called Hayate. As Haku walked back to the balcony, there was some applause from the other genin, and when she entered the balcony and walked over to Naruto and Zabuza, she got a praising nod from the older Kuchiki and a kiss and congratulation from Naruto. Now we will continue with the next match. At this, everyone turned once more to the board to see who will be fighting next. As the names started to slow down, everyone looked at the 2 participants. "Will Hyuga Hinata and Yamanaka Ino come down please?" asked Hayate. As the 2 of them walked down to the arena, both had different thoughts. "I must win. Then Sasuke-kun will see that I am the perfect one for him and then we will marry, Ino thought. I can't lose now, I must win, otherwise, were the thoughts of Hinata. As the two girls stood facing each other on the arena, Hayate asked them if they are ready, on what they both answered with a silent nod. Then let the battle begin, Hayate stated and jumped back. Not wanting to lose too much time, Hinata made a ram seal and pushed chakra into her eyes, Byakugan. She muttered and took the gentle fist style, knowing well that fighting a Hyuga in taijutsu isn't too wise. Ino took out two kunai and threw at her while jumping back to gain some distance. Seeing the two kunai flying at her, Hinata took out herself and parried the other two. Without a word, Hinata rushed at Ino and started to throw palm attack after palm attack, trying to close Ino's tenketsu. Back on the balcony, Kiba was having a small conversation with Kurenai. Kurenai-sensei, don't you think that something is wrong with Hinata? Asked the brown-haired genin, making Kurenai look at him from the corner of her eyes. Why would you think like this? She asked back, still focused on the match where Ino was trying to gain some distance from Hinata but was still getting hit sometimes. She is never so focused, she never is so serious about trying to hit her opponent, even when we were fighting against those bandits, said the Inuzuka heir. Maybe she is so serious about this because she has something to prove to someone, Kurenai answered after a long pause. I wonder who it is, asked himself Kiba as he turned back to the match. Back on the arena, Ino jumped back once again to dodge getting hit in her shoulder. Before she could anything, she heard Hinata's voice. Let's end this game, Ino, she said and took a special style, 8 trigrams 32 palms. Hinata shot forward and first delivered 2 strikes to Ino's torso, 2 palm, then another 4 palms, then another 4, 8 palms, followed by another 8, 16 palms. Then to finish the fight she added another 16 strike, 32 palms. She ended it with the last attack hitting Ino square into the chest and making the blonde girl fly away. As Ino hit the ground, she spat out a glob of blood and her whole body was shaking. Everyone who saw the attack was surprised that the ever quick and shy Hinata would attack her friend with so much brutality. Hayate, who was standing near the wall of the arena, walked over to the two combatants and looked at Ino's state. He lifted his hand in Hinata's direction and spoke clearly, "Winner, Hyuga Hinata." There were some cheers as she walked back to the balcony. When she was walking on the stairs, she walked past Neji who was walking down the arena. When the two of them were standing next to each other, Neji spoke. Hinata-sama, we both know that your destiny is to be a loser and even defeating other losers won't change that. So stop trying and making yourself hopes, Neji said coldly, but Hinata looked at him with soft eyes but determined eyes. Neji-ni, you should know that fate can be changed and I will prove it to you and to Sama that I can become a splendid shinobi and heiress of the Hyuga clan, she said with a voice filled with determination as she didn't stutter as usual. Neji narrowed eyes at her and started to walk down the arena. HMPH, no matter how hard you try, Hinata-sama, you can't change fate, you will see it one way or another, he muttered the last part under his breath as he disappeared from Hinata's gaze. When the young Kunoichi entered the balcony, she got praised by her team and other genin from her graduation class. Everyone turned to look down on the arena when they hear Hayate start the next match. You should give up, Shoji-san. These eyes can see everything and they show me that fate has deemed me the winner of this fight. No matter how hard you try, you won't win, so don't waste mine or your time and forfeit, Neji said coolly, making Shoji doubt his chances to win. I can see that you yourself are unsure if you can actually win. It means that you know that I am right, but you are afraid to admit it, the genius of Hyuga clan said harshly, making Shoji slowly start to raise his hand, but before he could forfeit, a voice yelled his name. Shoji! Don't you dare to give up now. When everyone looked to where the voice came, they saw Ino shouting at Shoji, with Shikamaru nodding with a serious look on his face and Asuma smiling encouragingly at his genin. Shoji, it doesn't matter if you win, just give it your best and don't forfeit without trying, Asuma shouted, giving the young Akamichi heir thumbs up. Yeah, they are right, Shoji, besides I heard that if you will do good, Asuma-sensei will take you out for all you can eat to barbecue, Shikamaru said with a slight smirk on his face. Yeah, that's right, wait, what? But Asuma realized his mistake too late as Shoji had already heard about this offer and was making hand seal necessary for his clan's jutsu. Ninpo. Multi-size technique. Suddenly Shoji became a few times bigger, He suddenly started to roll and then shot at Neji with a speed almost no one saw Choji use, human bullet tank. Neji was caught off guard at the newfound confidence in Choji and thus wasn't expecting Choji to attack him instantly. The young Hyuga had only enough time to jump away to not get hit. This went on for another 3 minutes with Choji rolling around, trying to crush Neji under his massive mass and the said Hyuga to jump around, dodging all of Choji's attack and sometimes trying to hit the Akamichi with a Juken strike. As Choji once more hit the wall of the arena, instead of bouncing like always, the chubby boy stopped and transformed back into his normal size and was lying there unconscious. Hayate looked at Neji and lifted his hand in his direction. "Winner, Hyuga Neji," Hayate spoke, making Neji scoff and mutter to himself how it was his fate to win this match. Everyone looked at the board, which soon stopped at the next two names. "Will Rock Lee and Aburame Shino come down here please?" asked Hayate, but before Lee could start to rant with Guy how youthful this fight would be, Shino raised his hand, focusing everyone's attention on him. "Proctor, I wish to forfeit as I have seen the speed of my opponent and can clearly see that I stand no chance against him," the Aburame heir said, making most of the Genin, Jonin and even the Hokage go wide-eyed. "I see, then, winner Rock Lee, now that we have still one person who didn't fight, we will choose one of the persons who already won to fight him. Winner of the next match will continue while the loser won no matter if he won the previous fight," Hayate said, and everyone turned to look who would be the unlucky guy to fight one more time today. As the name of the second person was revelated, everyone turned to look at the next two participants. "Will Reggie of Kiri and Kuchiki Naruto come down here?" Hayate announced, and everyone looked at Naruto, who calmly started to proceed to walk down the arena, but not before a quick kiss and good luck from Haku. When the Kuchiki vanished from their sight, Haku turned to Zabuza, who was sweating. "Why are you nervous?" "It's only another Genin," the only female Kuchiki asked, seeing how nervous her adoptive father looked. Zabuza glanced back at her and quickly returned his gaze at the Kiri Genin. "That's because from what I remember, he is old enough to be taught by the previous academy standards," Zabuza answered, making everyone who was around them looking at him, wanting to know what he meant. He looked tall everyone who was waiting and sighed. "You see, a few years back was a different training program for every Genin in Kiri. There was a special class how to fight against certain clan. Back then every Genin was taught how to fight against a Kuchiki in fear that should the clans somehow come back, Kiri would be able to destroy them again. From what I know, this guy must have been in the last class which was taught this," he said. Everyone who didn't know about this, which was everyone besides the Hokage, was staring at Zabuza with wide eyes. Then they all turned to the arena, wanting to know how this fight would turn out. Down on the arena, Reggie smirked as he unsheathed an odachi and took out a kenjutsu stance.